Hi, welcome back to my YouTube channel. I'm Nikku Sharma and I've been a real estate agent in Toronto for over 10 years. Today we're going to talk about how to choose a Reno property. So you've been thinking about this for a while. Where do you start? One of the most important things if you want to get into a renovation or a rebuild is a mindset. You really have to have the right mental space to be able to do something like this. And it depends on whether you plan on being involved or not, because that is a different level of investment of your time and effort. But if you are somebody who's going to be hands-on, you really need to have some thick skin. You are dealing with tradespeople, your contractors, timelines. There's a lot that goes on to do a renovation. And for that, you really need to be prepared, because you're going to have to go to bat for yourself. You are going to have to be your advocate up against, tradesmen and contractors. And everybody has opinions. Everybody literally has opinions about what this home should look like, would look like, what is important, what isn't important. And if there is something that you are really, wanting in this home, the biggest advocate is you to make sure it gets done. So that means that you're looking at all the details to make sure that nothing is getting missed. Understanding what you need from the home is the next part of this. So yes, you want to renovate. But what do you want to renovate? What is it that you're willing to take on? Are you willing to take on a gut project where you literally are, basically rebuilding the home from ground up, or and keeping the exterior walls? Or are you looking at more of a cosmetic renovation where you potentially will do that over time? And that again is two different mindsets. If you're looking for something that is over time, more of a cosmetic, slower pace reno, then you really need to find a home that you are willing to live in. You and your family have to be able to function in this home as it is. So whether that be finishes, whether that be layout, that really needs to be something that you're willing to do, at least in the medium term. I wouldn't even say short term, because cosmetic renos, you may think you'll start in a year, 2 years, but getting settled into a home takes about a year in itself. And then planning those out, budgeting for them, picking out your finishes for each of the projects does take time. So in the medium term, you want to make sure that that home fully functions for you, or if the changes that need to be made are things that are not going to impact your day-to-day life. So for example, if you want to do the roof of the house, right? Like if the roof needs to be done in a year or 2 years, that's not going to impact your ability to live inside the home. But if you're thinking, okay, I'm going to do a main floor revamp, let's say, redo the kitchen, redo the floors, that's going to impact your ability to live in that home, right? So you want to factor those things in, and then kind of plan that out slowly. So for that renovation, you're looking for a home that has really no structural issues and is solid. So maybe not something that, has structural problems. Make sure the inspection is clear. Make sure you walk through with the inspector and get that looked at. And sometimes it may even mean that you're going in with a contractor, after the fact, or once you've bought the home, to check out what kind of stage the interior is at. If you're bought a house or you're buying a house and the electrical needs to be done and it's all, let's say, majority knob and tube, that's probably not going to be, more of a cosmetic renovation. That's probably eventually going to turn into more of a heavy duty, either a gut or somewhere similar to a gut where you're taking out walls and stuff, because electrical runs all throughout homes. Same thing with plumbing. So really, really consider what is happening in that home before you go and buy it, and do your due diligence that way. Now, choosing the other side of the project. So if you're willing to take on a gut project, how do you choose that home? So for us personally, we did that. We went with this route and bought something that needed a gut reno. We didn't initially think it would require as much work, but we knew that it would require a lot of work. So the fact that it turned into a complete from the bottom up gut wasn't a surprise to us, because we were willing to take on, a majority gut project anyways. But what did we look for? We look for layout. We look for space. We looked for things that we really couldn't change about that home and about the location. So the neighborhood was priority to us. A driveway was a priority to us. The size and the bedrooms were a priority to us. Our home, it was basically like a maze, but we just opened it up and made it more functional. We didn't really rearrange the way it is, the way it is laid out. So the bedrooms are where the bedrooms used to be. The living room and family room are still where they used to be. We've just functionally opened it up to have more space and for the kids to be able to run around, because initially when we bought our home, it was just a maze of doors leading to other doors, right? So, and one of the other important things was we wanted something that externally appealed to us, because we didn't want to have to rebuild a home. We didn't want to, have to do the exterior facade. We wanted to just do the interior of a home, and the size was really important to us because we knew that we have a growing family, we have 2 kids, and the way that home was in terms of size, really, we could see ourselves living there for the next 20, 30 years and have our kids grow up there and, go on from that point. Now, in the renovation itself, we look for things like, okay, are we going to, move walls around? What walls are we going to take out? Are those structural walls? What are we going to do with the basement? Initially, our plan was not to really do much to the basement, but it ended up that because we were doing all of the electrical and we had knob and tube running through the house, as well as the plumbing needed to be done, that it just made more sense to really just open it all up and do it from the ground up. Now, but the way it worked out was that, the basement, we still kept the layout. We added a bathroom down there, a full bathroom. We took out the laundry and put that upstairs to make the home more functional for us. We added a utility storage room. So we were able to really take that basement and make it more functional for us. However, it didn't mean that we were, completely opening it up and turning it into a secondary suite or, changing the function of that home the way it was. And that's really what you want to focus on if you're going to gut a house. Like, you can do anything, but the more you do on the interior, the more it costs as well. So if you find a home that, makes sense for you functionally and the way it is, it'll be less expensive than something that you are completely rearranging, where you're taking stairs out and flipping them on the other side. So these are the things that you want to also kind of take consideration, because that is all impact on the cost as well, right? A gut renovation is going to cost you more than cosmetic, but the level of the gut renovation will also increase as you are changing structurally the way the home is laid out. So what are the kinds of things that you want to look for when you're looking at a renovation project? Number one is obviously looking at the purchase price, because you want to make sure that you have lots of money there for the renovation if you are going to go down the path of doing a gut reno. Carrying costs. So, when you go through this sort of process, you're going to need permits. You're going to need time. You're going to need engineers potentially, drawings. All of that is costly, right? So you have to factor those in, as well as you're carrying the property while you're getting all of this settled and drawn out and whatever else. So that process in itself is going to be a cost of just carrying the home until you do that. So there's multiple ways you can buy a property that, maybe you can rent out in its state, or like maybe with a little bit of, touch-ups and stuff. Maybe it's something they can rent out for a year while you make these plans. And those are options as well, but you're still carrying majority of the property, because rent may not cover what your home purchase price will be. And then the factors of land transfer tax, all of that still goes into your purchase. So make sure you really understand the numbers that need to go into the purchase and the numbers that need to go into the renovation in order to decide, okay, is this the right type of property to take on? Because as much as the structure is important, the understanding your financials and what that cost implication is really important as well, because you don't want to start the project and then realize, oh, by the way, I'm out of money. And this has happened over the last several years where, people took on renovations at higher prices because of what the market's done, and then we saw that there were some projects that just could not be finished. So don't get caught up in that. So what are you looking for when you do a reno project? You want to look at trying to avoid major structural issues in home. If you're gutting a house, those are things that can be fixed 100%, but they will still cost you a lot of money. And then take on, what is it that you're willing to do? Really understand, are you gonna be involved in this renovation or not? And that's how you're going to choose the property. If you're gonna take it on a GC or a general contractor that's going to do it all for you, that's also great, but that comes with a cost, right? Like the more involved they are, the more costly it is. So that is going to have an impact on what level of renovation you can take on. If you good luck hunting for your renovation project. If you have any questions, send them in the comments. I'll be happy to reply. And if you found any value in today's video, please like it, subscribe to the channel, and come back for more content.